in the region for architectural ambition, and boy, there's architectural ambition in this region, and tight deadlines can amplify hazards. Now, I think I can talk about this because I'm interested, but what I think it would be better for me to do is to actually stop talking and let Valentine carry on. So, Valentine, if you'd like to call your panel, actually, I'll call your panel up. So if Martin and Ian, you'd like to come up and join Valentine, I'll step back and let you three gentlemen have, I've got no doubt, a very, very interesting conversation.
Do zoom it.
Hey, Valentine? Yeah. Okay, we get started. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We are here just like what the president of IOSH has said, to talk about the designing out of risk in construction. Before we get started, let's just run through the panel for today. We've got Martin, who is the director of the Red Sea Global Health and Safety, and we've got Ian James, which is the head of QHSES in the Pyxis. The objective of today is basically to look at how to design out risk in construction. Over the last few recent weeks, there have been a lot of changes within the construction industry. I'm sure that you guys are aware of the Dubai Law number 7, as well as the new Saudi Building Code. All these have all been initiated to be able to improve and make the construction industry a lot much safer, especially for giga projects that we have. So whether you are here in Dubai, whether you are there in Riyadh, there are lots of opportunities for us to enhance construction and risk in the construction industry. So I'll start with my first question, and that would be for Ian. You manage special projects where speed is everything. With these new laws requiring 10-year document retention and stricter compliance, does this fast track mean high risk to you, or are you using digital tools to manage the compliance with regards to slowing this down?
That was a good question. Thank you, Valentine. Good afternoon, everybody. Hope you're enjoying the conference so far. It's good to see such a good turnout. Yeah, in regard to the new law, it's a fantastic development in improving compliance. For fast-paced projects, so my company does a lot of construction work for large-scale events, and events have a very short deadline. So trying to maintain compliance and documentation on this is a particular challenge, and something that can be easily overlooked. So the key is we plan to work along with that timeline, and we have streamlined documentation that captures what needs to be captured. And then, yeah, the use of digital platforms is crucial nowadays to be able to capture things on a quicker timeline as needed.
And this has been quite effective?
Yes, very.
Yeah. Martin, the next question is for you. Are you using digital twins to rehearse construction and spot hazards before a worker sees set foot on the hazards?
Yeah, thank you for the question, and again, good afternoon, everybody. So yeah, I'm a big believer that safety starts in the beginning, and we like to get involved in safety people involved in that design process from the concept design stage. You know, when someone's idea begins to become an image, get everybody together and talk about the design, what's being proposed. People from construction, from operation and maintenance, and get an understanding of what the building's about, what it's going to be used for, how it's going to be used, and then look at that design and identify the hazards and see what needs to be addressed during the design. Now, given the nature of the projects that we're developing, there's a lot of different specialized designers and engineers involved, and all of those different designers and engineers all have a different piece of that jigsaw to come back. They've all got a piece of the puzzle, and it's only when you put all those pieces together that you get a real understanding of what the project's going to look like and how it's going to work. And that's where 3D modeling comes in for us now. So 3D modeling really gives you a good understanding. You can physically see in 3D what the design is going to look like. It can help you with construction sequencing and execution and understand that part of it, but also it gives you a good understanding and a clear picture of what the design will look like when it's actually constructed. And again, that feeds into that whole operation and maintenance phase and making sure we've considered everything during the design.
Thanks, Martin. Looking at also opportunities of exploring real examples. Martin, Red Sea Global are shipping precast panels to villas for islands with off-site manufacturing. Is this site risk removed, or is there more to a shift in concentrating on the logistics risk instead?
Yep, we definitely focus on using modular construction where possible. And as you mentioned, we use precast panels for villas and some of the other buildings and structures that we're making. Excuse me. We've also used bathroom pods in a lot of our resorts where the room gets fitted out off-site and then just delivered and kind of slotted in and connected. That's another methodology that we've used. For the overwater villas on our sort of signature resort, Shibara, those sort of stainless steel orbs were actually manufactured and fitted out here in the UAE and then transported out onto the Red Sea coast. Also, we've used 3D printed buildings as well on one of our projects recently, which gives it a unique opportunity for different shapes and structures. So yes, we are using modular construction and it does change the risk profile on site. Now, from a logistics perspective, it's probably a similar amount of sort of traffic management that we have to do, because rather than trucks coming on site, with rebar and concrete, etc., and the raw materials, we're bringing completed items. So yeah, the traffic management's probably similar, but we've obviously got a reduced risk profile because people are just installing the panels on site rather than, building formwork, stripping it, pouring concrete, etc., etc.
How successful have you been with reducing the risk profiles?
Yeah, definitely. We've got an excellent safety record, and that's through the ongoing process throughout that design, that planning phase, which is critical, and then through the execution as well.
Perfect, thanks. Yeah, unlike a 5-year giga project, your event deadlines do not move and are time sensitive. How do you design out risk without killing the schedule?
It's a good question. So the project that Valentine is referencing was COP28, the big sustainability mega event held in 2023. I was the head of HSE for that project across 64 HSE offices. To design out risk for something of that scale, with events, it's not a deadline that can be pushed out like some construction projects can be. The red light goes on when the red light is scheduled to go on. So it creates much more of a bottleneck catalyst for high risk and lots of corners to be cut. The one thing with event planning on high-risk projects like that is to accept that reality, and you work with the context of the project, and you plan in that it is going to speed up, it is going to be exponential. So it's about creating efficiency in your risk management. It's about being able to predict and identify the things ahead of schedule and be ready to act as they come along and maintain the proactive things. There's not as much time to pause work and create safe work environments because the deadlines are near and there's multiple contractors and workers going on. So it's about planning ahead and accepting the reality of the nature of the project, and then planning your risk around that.
And how successful have you been with reducing the risk?
Very successful. 0 incidents on the COP28 project, and a really uplifted safety culture across both the HSE team and the contractors used.
Excellent. Now, the next question would have to be with decision making with regards to construction work. There are certain decisions we make in construction that saves lives in the future. Martins, how does this apply to Red Sea Global?
With regards to decision making, so like I mentioned earlier, it's getting people together and talking about the design as the design's coming through, and looking at how we can improve that design, particularly operations and maintenance people, getting them involved earlier in the process so we can understand what their needs are. And then as we go through into construction, working with the construction team as that design progresses and gets built, visiting the site and continuing to work with them to make sure that we've got the best outcome and we've addressed everything we can before we actually hand over, an asset gets handed over for use and operations.
Excellent. Specifically, are you designing your villas so that maintenance can be done without specialized dive teams or high-angle rescue gear?
Yeah. So, for example, we all know in the region, in what the summers are like, and having your AC working is critical for keeping the building cool. So making sure your AC is inspected and maintained correctly is obviously an important part of the life of a building. Now, usually AC, any MEP equipment is usually up on the roof, which means climbing, working at heights. So at our Mmereole destination, we've implemented a clean roof policy. So that means we've got nothing on the roofs at all. All the MEP is on the ground. So that takes away that risk. We've completely removed that working at height and that potential falls risk. And then if there is some inspections need to go onto the roof, we're recommending the use of drones to do a visual inspection first. So we're only exposing people to that risk if and when it's actually necessary.
When you talk about clean roof policy, can you explain a little bit more about
Okay, sorry.
audience might?
Yeah, sorry. A clean roof policy means it's clean. There's nothing on the roof. There's maybe some gravel and there's some drainage, but there's no equipment or anything on the roof that you would need to go up there and actually physically inspect or maintain. Like normally you'd have your MEP air handling units or water tanks or other things on the roof. Like I said, at Mmereole, we've got that policy that everything's on the ground, so we're not exposing people to that climbing risk.
Excellent. Ian, has there been an opportunity for you to add to your design?
Yeah, with safety in events, especially the input for safety and design is critical. Everything moves so quickly, and as far as an industry goes, it's not as safety conscious as primary construction is. So I like to implement from my construction background, the emphasis on the importance of safety and design at the initial phases, and just stopping to think, even if you get the announcement from the client that this is what we're building, this is the exhibition stand and we're building it tonight, that doesn't mean there isn't time to just pause for a moment and consider the major safety risks and have those elements being designed into it, because finding out that they need additional design elements and structure support or safety elements put into it once the construction begins, when you're already on a short deadline, either means those design factors aren't implemented at all, or they're implemented poorly. So it's about being, like I mentioned before, being prepared for that short notice to identify things like that.
Excellent. Now, coming back to the question of, we talked about the Dubai law number 7 and the Saudi building code. Now, with the Dubai law number 7 going into effect, it requires engineers to register digitally and prove their competency. With this end, the copy-paste safety plan? Ian?
Would this include?
Will this end the copy-paste safety plan? Because most of the time we have people who make safety plans,
Yeah.
Copy-paste.
Yeah.
Yeah. Will this end it? Will this?
It's a good step forward. The level of impact is yet to be seen, and there's more about the competency. It's a hard thing to measure. It's a good thing that the engineers need to be registered more and more going forward to create some further assurance. But it's about that individual competency and the oversight of the management that see those engineers as well, to be able to make sure that just because they're registered or just because they're certified doesn't mean they're competent. So it's a good quality check and due diligence for competency, but it doesn't guarantee it.
What are your thoughts, Martin?
Yeah, obviously I'm not based in the UAE any longer, but yeah, anything that puts a bit more sort of structure and rigidity around the whole process, and then like sort of what Ian mentioned about the competency of people, having people registered and doing that check in the first place is a good step, but it's like one step of many along the way.
Okay, just to wrap it up now, from your end, Martin, what is the single most effective tool or method to design out risk in 2026?
I think as Bob Hoskins once said, it's good to talk. And I think one thing, that there's a lot of technology and things being used in safety and in the design process now, but I think there's a lot of value just getting people together in a room, from design, construction, operations, maintenance, whoever is involved in a project, either building it or using whatever the asset's going to be, getting them all together at the beginning and just talking through things. And so everybody's on the same page, everybody understands what they're trying to do and how they can deliver that, and more importantly, how they can deliver it safely.
Okay, Ian, what are your thoughts?
I couldn't agree more. I was literally thinking, if Martin doesn't say consultation, I would be. But continuing on from that point, the other good tool is accountability. So what's really clear, if you're clear in your structuring with your risk management of who in the organization is accountable for what, if that's communicated clearly through those points of consultation, you'll find people are much more engaged and involved in what it is they're responsible for, if it's made very clear to them and everybody else around who's accountable for what.
Absolutely. And now, if we have questions from the audience, would be happy to take any of your questions.
That's good to know. We answered all the questions perfectly.
Absolutely.
Everyone's fully informed.
Yeah, absolutely. Because there are only two options when questions are not asked: either they're fully understood or they are not understood at all. I believe that the first answer is the correct one, which means that they're fully understood. Looking at risk in construction, we all know that is one of the big killers around. When you don't plan effectively, then you would be having something bad at the end of the day. And most of us who work in the construction field, we've seen a lot of fatal accidents, a lot of serious accidents. And coming back to this point, just like what Martin and Ian mentioned, designing out risk at the early stages has always proven to be the most effective way of mitigating risk in the construction industry. Thank you.
Thank you, Valentine.
Yeah.